Long time no see.
You know, the snow disappears, I reappear.
Yeah.
I know, Jack Dunkel had his last one on Monday, his last week.
Yes, yes, it was muted. Thank you.
I mean, I'll remember.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a hard stop. And we're saying, there's a. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty good. We have wife. Yeah. Probably when I born a single later. Maybe a very tall span or a lot of officers will already others. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joe Walter. Kelly.
Morning, Tracy.
Good morning. Newman. Here. Dryer.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Condado. Here. Briggs.
Here.
Ottinger.
Here.
Harris. Here. Winkler.
Present.
Jensen.
Present.
Rio,
Morning, Tracy.
good morning, Sorgo,
Here.
Roach. Timmons,
Present, morning, Tracy.
good morning, Reed,
Happy belated birthday.
thank you. Bryden,
En route.
Almakinder,
Here.
Schultz,
Here.
Cushing,
Here.
Kalawinski.
Here.
We have 18 present, 3 absent.
18 present, 3 absent. We have a quorum to conduct business. Item number 3, everybody please use your microphones when speaking. Item 4, and with the motion to accept the minutes of April 18, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. There's a second. Any corrections or changes? We'll do a voice vote. All in favor, signify.
Aye.
Opposed? There is no reports or presentations today. Item 6, public comments. Time limit of 3 minutes. We'd like you to state your name and address. If not on the Lyon County residence, state your property address in the county. Let's just start with the people that are standing down the middle. The lady that's at the microphone right now, do you have public comment?
Carol Ritter, 7861 Pike Road, Lake Tomahawk, that's actually in Cashin County. District. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the supervisors. My husband and I have been landowners and residents here in Northern County since 1979 and living both in Hazelhurst and Cashin Townships. We came to the Northwoods for jobs in healthcare, but it turns out that we stayed because of the forests and the lakes. And I bet that that's a big reason why most of us are here. It's water is a huge drawing factor for our economy and a way of life, whether it be in the lakes, in rivers, in wetlands, or even in its solid form in ice and snow. It just brings people here and it defines what the Northwoods is. For that reason, we believe that it is in the best public interest to, on your resolution 25, to allow for the entire 70,000 acres of the Pelican River Forest to be included in the conservation easement. We feel that this will be good for the forest products industry, retaining jobs. It will be good for additional recreation and economy in our area because of opening the trails to the recreational aspects such as hunting and hiking and snowmobiling. And it will protect water quality in our area with the wetlands that serve as watersheds for both the Wolf and the Wisconsin rivers. And it's well known that development around water bodies of water does result in degradation of water quality. So we ask you to support the conservation easement in its original proposal. And by doing so, I think that we would earn the respect and thanks of future generations. We have sort of one chance for this planet and our environment. There is no such thing as planet B. Thank you.
Next, lady. No interruptions, please. We do not have to have public comment at a county board meeting. We do it as a courtesy. We would hope that you people would have courtesy and not applaud in that. Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. My first name is Stephanie. My last name is Burrow. My mail comes from Monaco, but I vote in Hazelhurst. And it's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's a real celebration. I think you'll discover as you listen to the people who speak to you today how much we love our water and our woods and our wildlife. And that's what this really is all about. Heard a lot of talk about other things that just do not rise to the importance of what we're discussing here. You know, once in a lifetime opportunity It's just the most incredible thing any of us have ever heard. And I'm old, okay? I'm a resident, a taxpayer, a voter, and a native. I was born here. I'm old too. I was born here a long time ago. Maybe I'm the oldest person here who was born here. You don't have to confess you're older than I am, but anyway. So I don't know, you can decide if that adds to any credibility that I might have or subtracts from it, but there just couldn't be anything more important than what we're here to talk about and what you do about it. It's really, really important. And I agree with what the first speaker said about why it's important, and I think you're going to hear a lot of that today. We're just so fortunate. We're just so incredibly fortunate. In that spirit, I would like to give compliments to this board for years and years of sustainable forest practices on county board land, which one of the things that makes our county different from many other counties everywhere, and done a really good job of maintaining county forest lands. And one of the things about the Pelican River Forest, well, there are several things. They're similar and different to the county board land. The largest difference is this is private land. This is not county land over which you have authority. However, the private people who administer private forests can learn from sustainable forest practices on county land and your history of good sustainable practices and vice versa. Maybe a little competition would be good for the economy of this country, competition on how we handle our forests and our water and our wildlife. So I just want to encourage you with as much enthusiasm as I can to support this opportunity. Don't miss it. Okay, what's not to like?
All right,
Thank you.
Next person.
Good morning and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Laura Regney. I currently preside in the Talent Enterprise. Prior to that, I lived in the town of Shepke on the Post Lake chain, which is the impoundment or the impoundment of the Wolf River system. I was secretary of the Post Lake Rehab Board for 8 years. I worked mainly with the Langley County Board. It's, the predominant part of that system was in Langley County. I'm also worked in invasive species on water and on land. So I've been working for the resource for about 30 years. My comments are going to stray a little bit from some of my comrades. I'd like to go on record as in full support of the Pelican River project in its entirety. In my background, I'm very analytical and I always look at the end game. For 30 years, I've been telling the townships and the county boards that we need to look for the future. Instead of being reactive, we need to look for the future. What is our end game? It is your job and all our jobs to protect the resources and the communities. That is the number one goal, protection. I'm going to hone right in on water. My tan is fading. Thursday, I got back from my first tenure in the Phoenix area. Lived there for 5 months. The water wars have started. I've been following what's been happening up here with PFAS. We need to protect our water, mostly and foremost. Future development. So you know where I'm going, and that's mining and other activities that can disturb our water and our water quality. I look at even the Rhineland area with PFAS. Everyone's up in arms. PFAS. Well, there's a lot of other things that are much worse. In Arizona, we have boil water advisories. You can't drink the water. You turn on your faucet, it smells like bleach. It's very, very bad. And all I hear down there, they're looking towards us for water. So be prepared. We need to protect our water. And as I said, the end game. I was involved with conflict management in meetings with opposing people. I view people as individuals. I don't try to let people think people are bad people because they take a certain stance. We have to respect each other's opinions. I think that, the end game for our area has always been the recreation opportunities and the natural beauty that draws people up here. And with less and less public properties, our land values are increasing and it's almost like the elevator is too full. We have to protect public lands. And when there's private lands that are looking for protections that don't interfere with revenue.
Your 3 minutes up.
Okay, thank you.
Next,
We should still sign in.
yes.
I'm Keith McCaffrey from Rhinelander since 1964. I spent a career as a state deer research biologist, and I've worked with biologists throughout the Midwest. Some of my comments will reflect my experience as a public deer manager, but also as a lifelong deer hunter. I can report that other Midwestern states are envious of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan for the amount of public land that we have that guarantees access for public hunting and recreation. Wisconsin does have 5.9 million acres of public land. Most of that was a gift to us about 100 years ago, when that generation chose to put tax filling for land in the public forest. Succeeding generations have celebrated that gift. Until recently, that gift was augmented by hundreds of thousands of acres of what I call quasi-public land owned by the paper industry. Consolidated alone had over 400,000 acres in Wisconsin, some of which is included in the proposed Pelican River Forest. Today, we watch as former public land, or paper company land, become fragmented and slip away from public access. Public forests and surface waters are the foundation for tourism in northern Wisconsin. Wisconsin is the top tourist destination. Over $21 billion a year generated to our annual economy as a result of tourism. Forest-based wood industries contributed another $24 billion. Annually, between 150,000 and 175,000 deer hunters are north Highway 64 for the opening of the deer gun season. Today, we have a once in a lifetime opportunity to follow the path of our forebears 100 years ago and permanently ensure public access for hunting and recreation on a large block of formerly accessible forest land. Some claim such a move will damage the tax base, and I say, think about that. The land will continue to be taxed. Demand for services will continue to be low compared to what might happen with ownership fragmentation. Not only would the easement be a gift from our generation to our kids, but it will also provide permanent protection for some of the headwaters of the Wolf River. What's wrong with that? I have my own land and conservation easement, both ends of my 80 would abut the Pelican River Forest. And I would certainly welcome the easement as a neighbor. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Susan Woolley, and I live in Hazelhurst, Minocqua. I think that is in Minocqua, but my birthday address is Hazelhurst, on the Christine Waters Preserve. My husband and I moved up here not quite 2 years ago. I'm a lifelong Northwoods child and adult. I came up here as a child. My grandfather was a avid Northwoodser, spent every summer up here and flew the first forest patrol by air over the Northern Highlands, American Legion Forest. In fact, there's a plaque at Trout Lake about his flight because he took off with the airboat from there. It was the first forest fire patrol by air. Anyway, I've been coming up since childhood because of my grandfather's love of the Northwoods, and my father always said there's nowhere like northern Wisconsin, and indeed it's true. And as an adult, my husband and I came up here camping in the forest, the state forest in Vilas County, and dreamed of living here for years. But I was a little worried about the cold winters. It turns out I love them because I like hibernating and reading and just being in the quiet of the woods and watching the wildlife.
After living in Florida, which is just being consumed by relentless sprawl. The waters are ruined, tap water tastes like a soup of chemicals. And the intercoastal waterway gets algae blooms that are so toxic that you can't even be outside when they're happening. We came up here and said, where would you want to be? Where would we want to be if we moved? And it was the Northwoods. There was just no question. And my belief was that even in this time of hyperpolarization, that everybody up here values this unique geological gem. And that's why we're here. The highest concentration of glacial waste in the world is right here. This water is so precious, and these forests and so irreplaceable. And the fact that there is so much public land reassured me that living up here, it isn't gonna change. At least not in any drastic way, that the banality, the banal ruin of sprawl will not be allowed to take over. And certainly it never occurred to me that anyone would even consider risking these waters to the toxicity of mining.
Ma'am, your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Next.
Hi, my name is Catherine Parker and I live in Lake Tomahawk. Our town board passed a resolution supporting the Pelican River Forest Conservation Easement. And at our town's annual meeting on April 18th, the crowd of some 50 people voiced support of this as well. I hope that our county board representative will honor his constituents and vote in favor of the whole Pelican River Forest Conservation Easement. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tom Burrow from Hazelhurst. I taught finance for 27 years, so my take on this is going to be a little different than what you just heard. Let's just talk about the money. First of all, as other people have said, taxes are going to remain the same as they are now and our obligations. Second, we're going to have a steady timber harvest in perpetuity. Every year, this managed forest is going to cut down trees. This means you can have a stable local lumber industry because they know how many trees they're going to get. And we have a possibility for secondary value added industry like furniture making or manufactured products or something like that. Third, as other people have been talking about, we're going to have this increased access, not only for us locals, but for people coming in. This is going to give a base for tourism from now on. Now, as a finance guy, I can figure out ways to make more money quicker for you. We can have a fast return. But these three benefits are in perpetuity. I'm looking at the age of most of you out here. We can figure out something to make more money for you. But the Pelican thing is going to make more money for your kids and your grandkids and from there on. So just for the money, I say, let's do it. Oh, and WestJet, we're using somebody else's money for most of it. I love projects like that. Thanks.
Morning. My name is Bruce Ross. I brought one hat with me, but really I'm wearing 3 hats. I live in Mequon, Wisconsin. I have a small business in Minocqua bringing thousands of dollars of both tax and hospitality focused dollars to the community. I'm the executive director of the Wisconsin Waterfowl Association with 7,000 members statewide. Pretty strong contingent here in the Rhinelander area. But the hat I'm wearing that I'd like to focus my remarks on today is, like you, I'm a county supervisor down in Ozaukee County. And so as I look at the issues that you are confronting and reaching a long-term valid, good decision for your constituents, maybe I'm bringing a different perspective than most of the speakers so far, and maybe something similar to yours. You want to do what's right for your citizens, right? And both in the short term and in the long term. I would encourage you to take a look at the resolution itself. In my mind, it's a very confused resolution. It starts out with the whereas that speaks to the process failures of the DNR in considering the community's concerns for the easement. But then it shifts gears entirely. Usually the whereas sets up the stage for the therefore be it resolved sections. It shifts gears entirely to a laundry list that condemns the loss of tax property and a laundry list of things that you want out of the easement. Just doesn't make sense. If you want to send a confused message like that, it would be something, if I was sitting in your seat, I would want to clarify what Oneida County is looking for. I mentioned Ozaukee County because we face something very similar. Joint Finance Committee refused a Knowles Nelson grant for a property, Sioux Gorge, that we were looking to acquire down in Ozaukee County, with a pipe dream kind of that maybe some private developer would come in and develop it and generate taxes in the short term. There was a pipe dream. There's plenty of money in the community for things like that and like this. It seems to me that Oneida County is giving away leverage by condemning the idea of the easement without even negotiating with the landowner the things that you might be able to get from that discussion. Monaco stepped away from the negotiating table just as the landowner, the Conservation Fund, was ready to offer some opportunities to the community. Why would you step away from that leverage opportunity by condemning it in advance and not having a thorough, full discussion with the landowner to serve your constituents? As it turns out, down in Ozaukee County. Okay, thank you very much.
My name is John Brooks. I was born in Rhinelander. I grew up with Pelican River going through our backyard. My dad had a canoe, and so I got in a lot of trouble when my parents weren't home. Been in Briggs Tavern many times. But aside from being old, I've been more fortunate than virtually every one of you in here. And that's because I've spent so much time on the Pelican River, and it would be in phase one area I guess. But I've hunted there, fished there. My dad died there, which spread his ashes out there in the marsh. I've been fighting with, I think it's Heartwood, just to get access. Because I've had a heart attack, I've got an artificial knee, this is fine. And they told me if I wanted to canoe the river, I could carry it in there on my back. And that's great, I could do it, but then I have to carry it back out. And it doesn't matter. The thing that I've been so fortunate is that in the before I was injured and old, I got to spend time out there. And I still go out there whenever I can. And the endangered and threatened species that live out there, I can't, none of you have a clue what it's like out there. And I mean, none of you, even though you live in Monaco, that's where my dad grew up. His grandfather, his dad sold land to Consolidated Paper. Because that's all I can say. I've been so fortunate to have been able to go out there, and once that's gone, it's gone. You can't bring it back. And so I'm urging you to consider that and protect this area. Thank you.
Good morning. John Cobb, 2196 Point Road East, town of Nokomis. Water quality. one of the most important things that we can pay attention to. Like those that came before me, I'm in favor of the Pelican River Forest Conservation Easement. It's we need the $4 million, that's a lot of money. But when you look at the scope of the project, it's really probably a pretty reasonable price to pay to protect this resource into the future. It seems like we're always cleaning up our water. Years ago, the paper companies spent over $1 billion and it took them 20 years to clean up the Fox River. Today, we're working on parts of the Milwaukee River. And then many of our municipalities have problems with the forever chemicals right now. So to me, this would be a good thing to do to protect our water resource into the future. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Lisa Piet. I'm a resident of New Bold and also a newly elected town board member. I am an enthusiastic supporter of the Pelican River Forest project. I don't understand why any elected officials are opposed to it, given how well aligned it is with our two big economic drivers here in the North Woods, forestry and tourism. It's also compatible with what I believe most county residents want: conservation of our very unique environment here in the North Woods, and its ability to contribute to our climate resiliency. And what I've seen, public support has been overwhelming. Public opposition seems to be non-existent. There's been a lot of bashing of the DNR, and it seems that at least some of it is well deserved. But strangely, I have not heard anyone make a fuss about the lack of a hearing called by the Joint Finance Commission, such as should have occurred by now, as I understand it. Some of our elected representatives seem to want to operate without regard for what our constituents want. I think it is a huge mistake for the county board to proceed to make such a monumental decision without county-wide input from the residents of Oneida County. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joe Steinhage. I'm a full-time resident in the town of New Bold of Oneida County. I want to reaffirm that I am in favor of the Pelican River Forest easements. It is a wise move that will have many positive future benefits. The highest and best use of this approximate 70,000 acres of land is forest. This land is well suited to remain in its natural state and be a working recreational forest to serve the forest products industry and tourism for county and state residents and beyond our borders. A considerable portion of the land is either undevelopable or would be difficult to develop. I do not think there are developers out there waiting in line to build subdivisions, hotels, and restaurants. The landowner has offered to carve out over 1,200 acres along highways 8 and 45 for future development, which may or may not ever occur. Some people still think that this is public land. This privately owned land is taxed and will continue to be taxed under easement. Some of the staunch opponents claim they speak in favor of people's property rights, but it appears contradictory to then say that the Pelican River forest owners should not be allowed to take steps that will benefit everyone in the future. In the county board's amended resolution, 2 items of resolve are the purchase of an ATV UTV trail and a road right of way and deed them to the county. Here is another seeming contradiction, as some board members are against more government owned land. The liability and maintenance for those trails and roads would then fall to the county. The city of Rhinelander, a growing number of towns, other government bodies, many sports clubs, environmental organizations, and hundreds of individuals all show overwhelming support in favor of this easement project. It makes me question just how well opposing supervisors are listening to their constituents. Just one more consideration. There is another group we have not heard from in this matter. This group is called Wildlife. This group has inhabited the land long before human beings arrived and became squatters. Unfortunately, the wildlife group cannot speak for itself, at least not in a language we can understand. In summary, the amended resolution appears to be weak in identifying valid reasons to remain opposed. My hope is that with reasonable understanding and prudent negotiations among stakeholders, the future of this total acreage will be treated with the respect it deserves.
Joel, you're done.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Next, anybody else, public comment?
Hey, good morning. My name is Robert Craich. I live at 2525 Norway Point Road, Pelican Lake, Wisconsin, in the town of Shepke. And Shepke did pass a resolution supporting this easement effort. This easement will, at a fraction of the cost, support the Northwood staples of wildlife habitat, water quality, managed forests, access for recreation, both silent and motorized, hunting for both local community members and visitors through our tourism industry, all while remaining on the current tax rolls in perpetuity. The private owner has tried to negotiate with the town of Monaco, this board, and all efforts seem to fall flat. I won't say the board, I will say the committee that drafted this resolution seems to be trying to generate some short-term instant revenue from this effort. While this board does not support this effort, there are some economic, is there some other economic plan for this land that you have? I've dug through the county plans and the town plans. I've seen nothing in there going out 20 years where you're gonna have some new development in these areas. The fact that this easement is in line with most of the county plans and most of the town plans impacted by this easement. So I'm a little confused at the intent of the pushback on this resolution or this easement effort. So one can only speculate or assume the committee that drafted this resolution is intent on supporting mining aspirations, green light of Wisconsin against the wishes of the folks you're supposed to represent who have voted that down in the last 2 years. In hopes of striking some short-term, short-lived, short-sighted lucrative agreement with the mining company at the expense of the Northwoods, which is so special and alluring to many. Local taxpayers will be left with the cleanup of the mess of the ravaged landscape and pollution left behind in the strip mine, which, if it goes bad, will impact the entire Fox River Valley, the Wisconsin River, Lake Winnebago, and the Wolf River. Thanks for your time.
Anybody else, public comment?
Hi there, my name is Nancy Stensel. I come from the Wausau area. I think the most important thing you can do is protect your water. As a child, I grew up, we used to swim behind the Rothschild Pavilion. Due to pollution, that became a thing of the past. There seems to be overwhelming support for this easement. Keep it in forest and in outdoor recreation, because that clean water, protect it. It is all we have. It is a source. It's not a renewable resource. And this is private land. It stays on your tax roll. Do what is needed to protect this for future generations. Along with this, there was a gentleman that spoke for the animals, for the trees. Who speaks for their right? What right do you have to take that away from them? So I ask, please do the right thing. Thank you.
Anybody else, public comment?
Good morning. My name is Lenore Lopez. I'm a resident of Lake Tomahawk, and I'll preface my remarks by saying that I am so proud that Lake Tomahawk submitted a resolution in support of the Pelican River easement. The easement will support two major sources of Northwood's economy: timber production and tourism. And here's a quote from the April 6th news report from WJFW. Outdoor recreation is one of the top tourism drivers in Wisconsin. It contributed $7.8 billion to Wisconsin's gross domestic product in 2020. The following year, that grew by 14% to $8.7 billion. This is an opportunity that 49 other states and 3,140 counties across our country do not have. It's a gift to the citizens of Oneida County, its surrounding businesses, and the seasonal neighbors and friends who chose this area for the benefits of a pristine environment. The lion's share of funding from the federal government is for the acquisition of the easement is without exaggeration an opportunity of a lifetime. I hope you will not ignore the wisdom of your constituents to leave this legacy for future generations. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good morning, my name is Tom Wynn, I'm a 37-year resident of Oneida County, currently live in the town of Pelican. I'm glad that you have provided us the opportunity to speak. I'm aware of a number of people who sent emails to the board, and I hope that those emails will be considered today. People who can't be here, that is. I've canoed the Pelican, I've fished the Pelican, I've spent a lot of time bird and deer hunting on the Pelican Forest property, and I support this easement. I want the access back. I want to be able to get in on those 50 miles of road and be able to hunt. I'm getting old enough that I don't know how much I'll do it, but I want young people to have the experience that I had. And it's been said that you can buy your own land. I own a little bit of land, but you can't grouse hunt on 40 acres, and you can't bear hunt on 40 acres. You can't run dogs on 40 acres. I want this land to stay in forestry, not be fragmented and not be mined. I look at your resolution and I found it to be curious that you want the state to buy the roads and give them to you. As far as I know, the roads aren't for sale. And it's hard for me to think that the Conservation Fund would want to sell those roads, because if they do, I can't imagine what timber management company would want to buy that land and not own the roads on it. It would probably make it impossible for them to sell. I also think it's curious that you would want the county to have responsibility for the maintenance of those roads and liability for things that might happen on those roads. If a timber management company buys it, they'll get the endowment that the Conservation Fund has offered to them. That's not state money, that's not been offered to the county. And more importantly, they'll have their own profits from logging the land to help pay for the maintenance of that road. You won't have that, county won't have that. And if you buy those roads and take on the responsibility of maintaining them, and take on the responsibility of liability, I wonder how much my real estate taxes are going to go up. There's been overwhelming support for the project. Thousands of letters have been sent to elected officials. More towns by far than not have passed resolutions in favor of this. Businesses, organizations have come out in favor of this. I would ask you to not pass this resolution. The overwhelming support of the people is what you need to consider. And I would ask that you represent your constituents. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Eric Rumpala, 4212 Lakewood Road, County of Action. I do volunteer work with Oneida County Clean Water Action. Some of you may have seen our work. I know the towns have seen our work. A couple things I'd like to go over, and really the people here did a very good job of explaining a lot of things. And I want to say that my opinion is always on environmental issues. I don't choose to cross over and into anything that I don't have a working knowledge of, but I do feel I have a working knowledge on environmental issues. I'm proud to be here with, as our local newspaper is called, the usual suspects and obstructionists. I think if you look at these people, you'll know that they are not the usual suspects. They're the people we live with here, day in, day out. The people who respect the wildlife, the water, the woods, and our way of life. And they were not reversed, they were not coached. That's the people that we run into when we go town to town and talk to these people. All right, that's what we are. It's part of what we are, the wildlife, the woods, and protecting this land. Preventing fragmentation of the forest at its most critical area, the headwaters of the Wolf and the Pelican, which run through Wisconsin, are important. It's very important. I know there's several of you on the board who espouse property rights and no more public land, and as Mr. Steinhage eloquently stated, the position of wanting to buy land, buy roads, and then you deny a property owner their right to put an easement on, makes no sense to me. It's like we're on the other side of the fence all of a sudden. Some of these people, so I think you should consider that. I want you to consider all the emails you got. I know emails were sent to the county clerk, who I haven't heard those entered into evidence yet. I know that all of you supervisors have gotten emails. And I would bet a whole lot of money that the majority of them, if not all of them, were in favor of this easement. So when you all, at the end of the day, look at the input you got and ask what your job consists of as a supervisor, and I appreciate all you do. It's not an easy job and you cover many subjects, but I'm asking you to consider the input from the public. I do it all the time, town to town, I hear people talk. At the end of the day,
3 minutes out.
thank you for your time.
My name is Shirley Noonan. I live in Sugar Camp. When we first moved up here as tourists, and we, of course, were here every summer for years, we had a delightful time with the lumber company's roads behind our home. We walked them, we were able to look at Burnham Lake and all the wildlife there. And now the access there is on a logging road, and you still have to walk 2 miles just to get into the land. It's been blocked. It's considered public property in a way, but you cannot get in there without, at my age, walking 2 miles in and 2 miles out. We've lost that. And if I was to move here today and see this, I wouldn't buy it. I'm sorry, you people have to give access to those of us who come from cities and who truly enjoy and appreciate what we do. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Public comment.
I'm Roy 604 Street, right under Wisconsin. I'm not going to repeat a lot of the arguments. I just want to say that I have occasion to travel to my hometown, Ironwood, Michigan. And my stop every time is at the Schaumburg ATV Park. I think it would be an excellent design for you to copy in Monaco. Excellent bathroom. Not an ATVer myself, but it looks like a wonderful place to camp. I think we're missing out by not having facilities like that in Oneida County and not having a connection to the vast network of ATV trails that exist in Forest and Florence counties, many of them on managed forest lands just like this. So look at it as an opportunity. Again, I support the easement. I'm not going to repeat what the other people have said.
My name is Kathleen Cooper. You guys all know me. I've been here many times. And I live in Pelican Township, 4820 Riverbend Road. And Pelican Township, the town council voted for the Pelican River Forest conservation easement. I looked over the resolution that you guys have proposed, and like it was before, half of it was about how the DNR screwed things up. That's a separate issue. The DNR screwing things up is one issue, but the value of the Pelican River Forest is a completely other issue. We can deal with the DNR, but we also need to recognize the value of the Pelican River Forest. I'm a retired nurse. I was a nurse for 43 years. But my biggest honor to be in this life was a mother and a grandmother. And I want to leave something of value to my children, my grandchildren. And I want them to know that I spoke up to support something that will make their life better as they live their life long after I'm gone. This is a jewel. This is a gem. This is something people in other places do not have. You know, the economic value is there. The people want it. The people do not want this land to be developed. People do not want mining in the north. We voted it down, I don't know how many times. So please consider another resolution to approve of the Pelican River Forest conservation easements, just like the town of Pelican, the city of Rhinelander, Lake Tom, all of them. There's many that I can't think of right now, but I'm not sure. Please represent the constituents, represent the popular public opinion. These people are our neighbors. They live here. They profit from these forests. They play in these forests. Their children are raised in these forests. So please listen to your constituents and do not pass this resolution, and think about passing a resolution in favor of the Pelican River Forest Conservation Easement. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else?
Good morning. My name is Nancy Watry, 4106 Hillside Court in the township of Newell, and I am actually here to make a comment on your resolution number 61, which is opening part of Kemp Street from the Kemp Street Bridge to the west entrance of Quality Inn to ATV, UTV traffic. That is one section of the city that has not been opened by the county who has jurisdiction. One of the reasons why the Aquatic Four Wheelers Club would like this opened is because of the 2 hotels, the 2 restaurants, and the gas station that could benefit from business of that ATV, UTV traffic. Not only do we see a lot of locals driving to work every day, but we also have a lot of tourists that can come and can stay in the 2 hotels now, with the 3rd hotel being proposed or being built. They can actually park in the lot and they can gain access to our trails in the Northwoods by having access to that route. So thank you very much for supporting that when it comes up on the agenda.
Okay. Anybody else? Public comment?
Good morning. My name is Carl Fate, 6824 Highway 8, Rhinelander, Wisconsin. I live at Spur Lake. I just want to reiterate my support for the Pelican River Forest and for the related conservation easement, because it would be critical for the long-term goal of protecting the upper Wolf River watershed. It's not only important to this county, but it's important to many counties downstream, as well as to the entire region and the country for that matter. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? Public comment?
Good morning. How we all doing up there? Pretty good today, huh? What a beautiful day for democracy. Yeah, we got a full room here. And so I want to congratulate you guys on filling the room. I would have loved to stay at home with my 4.5-year-old son and make a comment via Zoom. However, that option has been taken away from me. My wife is a full-time employed person, and so she couldn't be here in person either. But I would like to speak for her as well, and just go on record to say that we support this easement and this project. And yeah, aside from that, I don't know, I was gonna say something about maybe being the youngest person. Scott Kirby, 4180 Forest Lane. I'm in the township of Newfield, and unfortunately, Jim Winkler, we disagree on many things. I sat in on many of these committee meetings, and the one truth that we did also hear about just previously was this whole process of which this was brought to the board and the county, the DNR and miscommunication, poor handling of that. To me, really, that's the only truth that we can find in the matter. And it seems you guys did a really good job of stacking the committee with like-minded individuals. And if you're not gonna pay attention to your constituents in this matter, then I guess you're doing a really good job for yourselves. So thanks for that. Keep it up and have a great day.
Anybody else? Public comment?
Good morning, all. My name is Charlie Carlin. I'm here with a few hats on as well. I vote and work at 2792 Endive Drive in Fitchburg, Wisconsin. I am also a fifth generation property owner up here at N9352 East Duck Lake Road on Duck Lake in the town of Upham. I'm really grateful to all of my elders who have spoken today in favor of Pelican River conservation easement and protecting our water, our wildlife, our outdoor way of life. I'm also really proud to be raising my son here in Wisconsin, teaching him to swim in clean lakes up here, fishing in places right here in the Northwoods where we can eat the fish that we catch. I look forward to the day when he can hold a rifle and I can help him get his first deer. It's also my great privilege today to speak on behalf of many other people who have shared their support for the Pelican River Forest. Each of you have a packet of information that I put together that details the 10 local governments that have all passed resolutions in support of this project. More than 40 organizations and businesses have signed on to a public letter, which you have the text of, supporting the conservation easement. And this is a really remarkable diversity of interests. These are folks like the Pelco Mud Nuts, the Winding Trail Grill and Bar, the Pelican Lake Campground, the Rough Grouse Society, Harrison Hills Storage, Spencer's Country Store, a couple of rafting organizations, several ATV and UTV organizations. You also have, there are separate letters of support from folks like the Elko Cross Country Ski Club, the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, the Council on Forestry, Menominee Rebuilders, and others. In addition, you have in front of you the names of more than 1,400 people who have signed a petition supporting this project. I can also personally vouch for more than 16,000 messages that have gone into the state capitol, to state legislators and to Governor Evers in support of this project. I think that were we all to sit down at a table again, such as Robert and I did at breakfast in Elko back in December, there's some really common sense, reasonable compromises that can be made. I see that this resolution asks for road and ATV trail access. And I'm here to deliver the good news that that access is already there in the conservation easement as proposed. And the feds are going to pay for most of it out of offshore oil and gas lease revenues. So I think that we can all get what we want. You can hear from your constituents and support the conservation that's so important. You can get the priority that Mr. Briggs and company have laid out in the resolution, asking for road and ATV trail access. And I very much look forward to raising the kiddo here in the Northwoods, to enjoy the Pelican River Forest, and to take him on his first rafting trip on the Wolf River. Thanks, y'all.
Anybody else?
Clint Miller with the Conservation Fund, the private nonprofit that owns the Pelican River Forest. I'm also a third generation owner of a cabin in the Northwoods in Taylor County. I stood before you a couple months ago reminding you of the millions of acres of forest land are being lost in the US. The Forest Legacy Program was developed to stem this tide, in particular to focus on large industrial forest lands. You've heard several speakers talk about that. It was developed to support the forest industry to maintain a competitive edge with other nations.
At the same time, it was recognized how the program benefits basic ecosystem services, and you heard about those today: clean water, clean air, and resilient climates. In Wisconsin, the Forest Legacy Program leaders also recognize an opportunity to secure permanent public access to former industrial timberlands. Pelican River Forest Project is a poster child for the Forest Legacy Program and what it represents. The supporters in this room that you heard from today, the county, the people that Charlie talked about, who have wrote to you, who have expressed their concerns, the people of the state recognize that. The resolution in front of you today rejects the Pelican River Forest. By passing that resolution, I think you're sending one clear signal. You reject support for the forest industry, you reject clean water for the Wolf River, and you reject securing permanent public access to private commercial timberlands. Thank you.
Anybody else, public comment?
My name is David Hanson. I'm resident of Oneida County, right here in Stella Township. I wore my clean boats, or not my clean boats, but my Holmes Lake Association hat today. And we work hard with the association, like all of us working hard to keep our waters clean. Clean boats, clean waters. We manned hours at that spot, volunteer hours to keep our waters clean. I think it's a very important project here to do that at this time, and we need to vote for that conservation easement and all work together on keeping our waters clean. Thank you.
Anybody else, public comment? Who hasn't spoken?
My name is Eileen Monser at 7845 Lake Cunard Campground Road in Lake Tomahawk. In 2018, I started advocating for the environment with the landmine proposition. And since then, I've had grandchildren. I tell you, they really change your life. I haven't had the time I wanted since then to put into protecting the environment, which is the reason we're all here. Our lives are not forever, but we do have grandchildren, and we also have other people to think of besides ourselves. And as you guys all know, most of the people that you represent are for the clean water and the clean environment up here. People from Madison and Milwaukee come up here for that very reason. They don't come up here for more development and more housing. So I'm here to tell you that I do support the Pelican River Forest and caring for the reasons that make Wisconsin special up here for other people besides the people that live here. The protection of the Wolf River for drinking water, fishing, boating, forestry, and tourism is so important to us all. Public access for hunting and ATVs, although I'm not for ATVs, and snowmobiles, although I'm not a snowmobiler. It's our grandchildren I'm very concerned about. And I hope that you consider not only yourselves, but the people that we represent and those coming forward also. Thank you.
Anybody else? Public comment? Clerk, read the names of people who sent in correspondence. Just read the names. We all have copies.
Deborah Lieber Cruz, Jeff Brooks, Mark Yilkos, Veilfuss, Jerome Wolke, Darrell Campbell, Lars Nopel, Kevin Yeager, Guy Wilson, Brian Thompson, Ron and Jan Eckstein, Jeanette Seymour. Those are the emails that were received prior to the end of the day yesterday.
With that, we will close the public comment section. We will move on to item 7, consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I believe we need to consider vote on this. Kirk will call the roll.
Reed,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Rio,
Aye.
Almakinder.
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Winkler,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Newman,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Roach, Timmons,
Aye.
Ryden,
Aye.
Condado, aye. Schreier,
Aye.
Zorgel,
Aye.
Harret, aye. Halowinski,
Aye.
20 aye, 1 absent.
20 aye, 1 absent. The consent agenda is approved. Item number 8, resolution 58, 2023, offered by the supervisor of the administration committee to request coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund allocated to Oneida County through the American Rescue Plan Act for the purpose of courthouse HVAC upgrade phase 2. Billy?
Lindsay's here to speak for why it's in front.
So this project was approved with the budget cycle. There was 608,000 earmarked for it with ARPA funds. We put it out for bid and we received bid from Tweet Garrett for $455,600. So we're requesting $546,720 in ARPA funds for this project, and that includes 20% contingency. It is to replace the 12 air handlers and heating valves and cooling valves in the historic part of the courthouse. We've already been approved to replace the chiller, so this is the second phase of that project.
If this is just part of the process of with these ARPA funds, it was approved, as she said, in a project going into this year's budget. The process is once you've secured the bids and you're ready to spend the money, you come back to the county board to give the fixed amount that will be used. It's under what was appropriated. And that's why this one and the next one are before us today.
Any questions? Stephen?
Just so I guess everyone's clear is we budgeted 608,000. The bid that came in is considerably under that, even with a 20% overrun, which is pretty significant, I think. But for projects like this, yeah, you better have a pretty good cushion. We also just passed in the consent agenda, a resolution saying that these extra monies that now still technically are unspent, they may have been budgeted or earmarked for things. Somebody's decided they want that back, to bring down the debt limit, but we've proven that we can find good use for this. That particular project also, HVAC got put off for years, is my understanding, just like the roof replacement. So it's important to remember that, when we budgeted for these things, I think we did it responsibly, and we'll continue to do that moving forward. I don't think that there should be any reservations about approving this. I think with, both the buildings and grounds as well as the people responsible for putting together the budget, did a really good job on it, I think. Thank you.
Any other questions? First of all, roll.
Schreier,
Aye.
Rio,
Aye.
Zorgel,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Condado, abstain. Ottinger,
Aye.
Winkler,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Almakinder,
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Simmons.
Aye.
Cushing.
Aye.
Roach.
Abstain.
Jensen.
Aye.
Bryden.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Palawinski.
Aye.
18 ayes, 1 absent, 2 abstain.
18 aye, 1 absent, 2 abstain, resolution 58 passes. Resolution 59, 2023, offered by the supervisors of the administration committee to request coronavirus local physical recovery fund allocated to the United County through the American Rescue Plan Act for the purpose of medical examiner radios. Billy?
Hey, Crystal. This is like the last one as far as the final step in the process of accessing money that was appropriated to speak to her specific project. Crystal, our medical examiner.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me stand in front of you. This is the last step, hopefully. Anticipated to be. I've been in front of multiple committees, been approved all the way through. Today I present to you a resolution for the medical examiner radios, which includes 2 portables and 2 mobiles. The reason for this request, which was approved for ARPA dollars, is because we currently hold contracts to Vilas and Forest County, roughly $150,000 or so dollars. And we always are going to be in need of the radios. So our response time is better. If our response time lacks, we will be in potential trouble of losing those contracts, because that has always been the number one concern with our response time. If we have these radios, our response time can be better. We can hear the pages come out, we can start going, we will get there a lot faster. The radios that we currently have are owned by Vilas County. We have been told by Motorola that when pieces break on these radios because of how outdated they are, they're obsolete. They cannot be replaced. So therefore, we are requesting new radios.
Any questions? Anybody? Close the call roll.
Cushing.
Aye.
Condado.
Abstain.
Harris. Aye. Schreier.
Aye.
Almakinder.
Aye.
Winkler.
Aye.
Showalter. Kelly.
Aye.
Roach.
Abstain.
Jensen.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Sorgel.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Rio.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Ottinger.
Aye.
Timmons.
Aye.
Bryden.
Aye.
Freed.
Aye.
Palawinski.
Aye.
18 ayes, 1 absent, 2 abstain.
18 aye, 1 absent, 2 abstain. Resolution 59 passes.
Thank you both.
Amended resolution 25, 2023, offered by the supervisors of the Pelican Area Boards Committee to object to the state renewal of future taxable land by purchasing conservation and access easements. Robert?
Yeah, Scott, I'd like to make a motion to amend the amended resolution 25, 2023.
Go ahead.
You got line number 19 and I gave you a handout too. Where it says, whereas no affected town. Scratch no one, but none of the affected towns. And then it says, and only one of the 3 affected counties, it scratch the only one, it should be none of the affected counties. Then if you move down to line 37. Where it says UTV, ATV and UTV, you need to add snowmobile. Snowmobile/ATV/UTV. And line 40. Same thing, add snowmobile before the ATV and UTV, so we snowmobile/ATV/UTV. And the last one would be after line 52. Gonna add another paragraph. Be it further resolved that the Oneida County does not want more than 30% of a town within Oneida County or the county having 30% of the government-owned land or under government control, such as conservation easement.
There was a motion to amend the amended. Is there a second? Also. Is that right? Second. Discussion on the amendment.
Just a question. I mean, I understand that last addition, that paragraph with the 30% of the town, and I get why that's in there for the county. But one of the things for me with the whole resolution is empowering the towns to be at the table and make decisions which are best for their townships. So I know where Woodruff stands on this, because they would have 30%, you told me, but you know, if a town's teetering at the 20-30%. I'd love to see where the towns are empowered to make the decision for their township. Am I correct in assuming that this kind of is saying, I know this is non-binding, but it's advising them that it is 30% don't look here?
Right, correct.
Okay, that, and I understand where it's coming from, but I have a problem with that part of the amendment.
Which, you know, originally they didn't come to us at all. The only time they wanted to bargain is when money got blocked. That's when the conservation fund wanted to talk.
So Billy's concern is that we're the county and that we have something in the same base to the town. But it does affect the county. So what the county board is saying, I take from this, is that once a town has 30% of their land locked up, then the county is in favor of that not buying more. If you look at the total in the county, we're looking at the total county. So let's say Monaco right now has 2% government land. If phase 2 goes through, they will have around 81% government control on it. And what they're saying is once it makes 30% or the county 30%, that's what this amendment seems to be doing. Mike Timmons.
Scott, this is something that hasn't come all through yet, but this is part of the North Central Regional Planning, redoing our comprehensive plan. Public ownership. As of 2023, about 29% of all lands within Oneida County is publicly owned. Well, an additional 25% of that land is currently enrolled in forest law. It goes on from there. So we're already at 29% at best.
Is that the previous?
This is what's in our packet, took approved for
10 years ago.
that ain't, this is for the 2023.
Okay.
So we're already at 29%.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Steven?
Yeah, I support the amendment as proposed. I don't really support the after line 52 part. I think this kind of ties our hands to some degree. And I prefer to take any and all proposals and look at their merits.
Okay, Steve, I don't just stay on the amendment because we can get the other merits.
I don't think this deviates from what I'm saying in regards to this. This is saying that you want a resolution saying, you know, that really binds us and says over a certain percentage, we're a no-go. Regardless of whatever the merits are of the proposal, we're sending a message, don't come to us anymore about this. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what the merits of a future proposal could be. I don't say this is, and I don't know what the 30% is based on. What is it based on? Is there some feasibility study that said, once you get past this point, it's some tipping point and suddenly we just can't provide ambulance, we can't do anything? I gotta have stuff, information to get behind stuff like that. The rest of it is fine. It's clarification. I don't have an issue with it, but that I have an issue with that because it kind of ties our hands. And we should base these types of things on their individual merits. And moving forward, I think this would do that. That's why I would object to that. So if you're gonna bundle a number of amendments proposed amendments together, I'm gonna have to vote no because it includes that. I would prefer that we could take the first three, line 19, 37, and 40, and move those first and maybe debate the merit of the latter one. But I hate to vote against something when I actually support the majority of the proposed amendments.
Okay, so we have to vote on the amendment as it is. It could be voted down and redone or vote for it. Any other discussion on the amendment? Tony?
So I like the first part of this, the after line 52 bothers me a little bit. I am generally in favor of the right of a property owner to do with this, they please with their property, as long as that, as I've said before, there is not a public health, public safety, or environmental issue. However, looking at this, the government-owned land or under government control, such as a conservation easement, I'm sorry, allergies are ridiculous. Talks to me about, seems to be telling people that they can't do what they want with their property. Who is the county board to tell me that I can't sell my property to a government agency for public? Because then we might have a higher percentage over 30%, which seems like a very arbitrary number to me. Of public land, that doesn't make sense to me. That's really all I have. Otherwise, I like the idea of certainly adding the snowmobile communities to those resolutions. But that bothers me a little bit. Like lately, I've heard some talk about, from Mr. Roach and all that and other meetings about, who am I to tell somebody what they can and can't do with their land, and this kind of seems like that to me.
I'm just gonna comment on that.
Sure.
The conservation, the owners of the property today could go down and record that easement tomorrow. They just can't use tax dollars or nothing else in fund. So what this is about is using tax dollars or borrowed money or whatever to purchase. But they could do this tomorrow, they just can't get the money to do it.
But it doesn't say that.
Well, that's the objection. Bob Jensen, we're next.
Just a point for Corporation Council. Is this eligible for a division of question? We could divide it into two questions. And it would save a vote, it would save an amendment.
The new one.
Yeah.
Somebody's got it.
So,
Sort of, I think if we made a motion to divide the question into two questions and that passed, then we'd vote on each one separately. Question one would be lines 19 through 40, and question two would be line 52. What I'm sensing is people are gonna want to, if we say no, and we're gonna come back and make two more amendments, can this be done with the division of question?
So let me review division of the question.
Okay.
Because I
All right, well, Corporation Council reviewing it. Stephen, you have a comment?
Just that I think maybe an easier solution would be just to ask Mr. Briggs if he would withdraw that part. We can take that on as a separate amendment. Rather than go through adding a division of a question, et cetera, et cetera. If you're not opposed to that,
Stephen,
I would
it's
just
a
ask.
second, so we either have to vote it upward or down.
Sure, and then move the first three
tells me that the
individually.
division can be.
Can't hear the chair.
Your mic's not projecting.
Oh, my mic on.
this book,
I get you. We have to vote on it.
So there is, so division of the question requires a second. It is not debatable. It can be amended, requires a majority vote. And I think certainly the second part is different than the first. So if someone makes that motion, I believe it would be a proper one.
So I'll make a motion to, for the division of the question one being lines 19 through 40, and question two being lines 52 and beyond.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, but not debatable. Clerk will call the roll.
Schultz,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Cadado.
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Winkler,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Ryden,
Aye.
Schreier,
Aye.
Almakinder.
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Rio,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Newman. Thorvald,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Harris. Fisher,
Aye.
Slawinski,
Aye.
20 aye, 1 absent.
20 aye, 1 absent. The motion is split into 2 motions. The first time in 21 years we have that one. All right, let's go with any discussion on the first part, line 19 through 40. Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll. This is on the amendment to the resolution.
Simmons,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Harris, Newman,
Nay.
Cadado, Briggs,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Winkler,
Aye.
Ryden,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Thorvald,
Nay.
Rio,
Aye.
Almakinder.
Aye.
Schreier,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Slawinski,
Aye.
18 aye, 2 noes, 1 absent.
18 aye, 2 no, 1 absent. The first part is amended. Now, the second portion of the amendment. Any further discussion on line 50, after line 53? Okay, hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
You guys could talk a little bit more, I think that's on.
Lines 41 through whatever this second one
That's what this one is right now. That's what question 2 is.
Nothing happens.
So.
Nothing.
So question one that you just voted on dealt with the changes to line 19, 37, and 40.
Okay.
Question 2 is the after line 52, be it further resolved.
Anybody got questions? Any comments?
Just clarification, it's line 52 as was amended, but not 54 on, correct?
It's being added between line 52.
Just, yeah, but it just this line, this addition, okay.
Correct. If this passes, we will insert at line 52 this paragraph, but the rest will remain the same.
Second.
Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Rio,
No.
Cadado,
Aye.
Newman,
No.
Schreier,
No.
Aye.
Simmons, Winkler,
Hang on, I'm still reading. Can you come back to me? I'm still reading that again.
okay. We have to rate it.
Jim was gonna wait for you.
I'll just abstain so you can continue to read.
Harris,
No.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Reed,
No.
Almakinder.
Aye.
Cushing,
No.
Ryden,
No.
Schultz,
Aye.
Fisher,
No.
Roach,
Aye.
Sorrel,
Nay.
Kelly,
No.
Jensen,
No.
Kowinski,
Aye.
eight ayes, 11 noes, 1 absent, 1 abstained.
8 aye, 11 no, 1 absent. Okay, so the second portion fails. So now we're gonna deal with the amended resolution.
Chairman?
Stephen.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to amend. At the risk of having to split it again, do you want me to propose 2 separates? Would that be the preference?
You're in control right now. You just,
I think I'm gonna do them individually, just so we can avoid that. I would like to strike lines 50, 51, and 52. And replace that language with, be it further resolved that the severance taxes on timber sales from managed forest lands eliminated in a previous budget be restored to provide the infrastructure needed for harvesting and managing these important lands for our forest industry and whatever would come after that.
okay, so that's the amendment that Stephen's bringing first. Any, is there a second on the amendment?
I'll second.
Tony will. Further discussion.
Read that again.
Yeah, agenda.
Sorry, I should have made copies for everyone, I apologize. I'm asking to strike lines 50, 51, and 52. And I'm gonna replace that language with, be it further resolved that the severance taxes on timber sales from managed forest lands eliminated in a previous budget be restored to provide the infrastructure needed for harvesting and managing these important lands for our forest industry. Semicolon and whatever would come after that.
Tell me what
We
that,
had a second, further discussion.
tell me what that means. Yeah.
Well, what this means is, and this has been a point of contention basically from the beginning, which is they used to get severance tax on the product that came out. In all of their wisdom, people in Madison decided you guys can do without that, right? And they can't. You struggle, especially Monaco, who has such a significant amount of managed forest land that they rely on severance tax. So I'm saying, bring back the severance tax. They're talking about sending all this local money back to us. Oh, we're gonna give you a certain percent of the sales tax. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Of course, there'll be all kinds of strings attached. We're used to that. We know that. You don't need to attach a string. You used to give us this. This is something Woodruff and those guys used to rely on to pay for services. And that's what I want. I want to see something reinstated that we used to get, we used to rely on. And it's reliable because they're not suddenly going to stop managing forests. We're not suddenly going to decide tomorrow we don't need any wood products for anything. The demand has probably increased, if anything. Look at what we were paying for wood products as a result of COVID. So I think if you're gonna ask for stuff in a resolution, we're gonna send out to Madison and to electeds, et cetera. We're gonna share this with our fellow counties like Wayne Lake and the rest up here in the Northwoods that rely on forest products. Put stuff in that's gonna mean something and insist on it. When we get done today, call them, let them know. This is in your mailbox, don't ignore it. That's why I proposed that we add that. And to go back, you know, I don't have a problem with wanting to rein in public lands. It's just, as I believe Tony says, 30%, it's arbitrary. I don't I don't know what that means. I don't know where that number comes from. The significance of it, it's a number. This isn't. This is tied directly to harvesting. This brings money back to the communities in the county and the townships. They really need to look at this and reinstate this again.
Robert, a question, do you remember when the severance tax went away, what year that was, since it was such a big impact to your town?
I don't, to be honest with you. I remember exactly what year.
My town used to receive severance tax, but I don't remember, we also received PILT, which is payment in lieu of tax. So because we have the American Legion force above us, we get quite a bit of money in lieu of tax. Which people with MFL don't get anything right in profit, and that's very little money. Any further questions on the? Go ahead, Lenny.
The county board, the committee has been working on this for 3 months, and they've done a lot of work. And now this is the first time this particular change has come up, which I think is extremely valuable. And it does seem like we have a disjointed resolution that is about more than one thing. I mean, at one point, we're looking to poke a finger in the eye of the DNR, because they kind of screwed things up. And there's the very important question of the Pelican River Forest easement. And there's no doubt that when funds were taken away, small towns suffered. So at the risk of, let's say, stating the obvious, if this is the first time we're coming up with this most recent change, I don't think we're done with this yet. And I think it deserves a lot more discussion, and thank you for bringing it up.
Any other discussion? Robert?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I like what Steve said there, but I don't know if I want to remove 50 and 51.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, if you want to focus on what it says, right, what you have here from. Oneida County does not want more public land within their county yet. You're ignoring literally the reality around you. Nobody came here today and said that. I've got nothing other than one email included with all of the other emails. Objecting, one objection. So how can we as a body say we don't want more of something? Ignore what's being said. I mean, not only is it disingenuous, it's almost, I don't even know what term to use beyond that. So does keeping that in there, what will that change down in the, down at the state level, right? That's where we really want this change to be driven from. I don't know that that's really going to give them anything. It doesn't give them a driver. It doesn't say specifically what that goal or need is. If we want to look at it, and you're working on the comprehensive plan, right? Let's talk about that 30% cutoff. What does that mean? Let's talk to regional planning. What does that entail? What would be the implications if we said tomorrow, we're cutting it off at 30%? If they can bring me information back that I can look at, I get behind it, sure, why not? But I gotta know what that means. It's a little too arbitrary. This is even, this doesn't even include the 30%. I get why you wanted to include something more definitive, but I think right now at this time, we should voice our concerns when they're developing our comprehensive plan. That's our responsibility as representatives to be involved in that process. So that's where I think we should direct that. I agree, and you're welcome anyway, but yeah, we could take this apart and have separate resolutions about a lot of different things. Honestly, maybe it was a long time coming and we should have done that, but right now today, this is a start. There's nothing that prevents us from wanting to go back and say, let's have a separate resolution just to send, follow this baby up down to Madison and wherever else with some of these other things. I could get behind that. I don't have a problem with that. Take them on their individual merits. But to have all these separate resolutions generated today would not be terribly practical. And it's what we wanted to avoid the last time we took up this was, we had a lot of language in there. Everybody was very confused. It was troubling. Some of the things didn't seem to jive with what people's understandings were. So I don't think we want to do that again today as well. I think we should just try and make this as good a resolution today as we can, without just wanting to kibosh the whole thing and throw it out.
So Stephen, by line 50 through 52, you took the first half of it and changed the whole meaning of that statement because you left the second half on. It's not that the county does not want more land within their county, but they want the town and the county approval. In other words, getting the affected town and the affected county some say in it. But by leaving the second half up, it totally changes it. It's, you're saying the county doesn't want any more public land. That's not what it's saying. It's saying if the town and the county approve it. Any further discussion? Anybody? Mike?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing to Supervisor Schreier. I read that totally different. I read that just like Chairman Howard said that all we're doing is saying that it has to get approval by the town and the county. I agree with what you're saying. We shouldn't limit that just because I think that way. I'll vote that way because I don't think we should own more than 30%, but that's just me. But this leaves it open to come back if a town has that. It's just saying, hey, now you gotta come through the county. You'll have to take a vote on it. Maybe Monaco's chairman saying, I don't want to do this. And you can convince the rest of the people here to feel like I do. 30% is too much. Not a wrong answer, not a right answer. It's just what I believe. So that's all I'm saying that I see there. I think that would be fine to leave that in, Stephen, just because it's leaving it open-ended to come through the county again. When you first said that, I thought, yeah, he's right, but it just says without county and town approval. So it leaves it open to the government to make a proposal.
Further discussion, anybody? Rob Wilson.
For those of you that were on the board when I was here, these advisory resolutions have always bothered me in a lot of ways. Because the way I understand it, the towns and the county don't have the power here. This is going down and advising somebody of something. And then we get all these in here, and even though I might favor the county and the towns having an opinion, if I vote no, well, then I guess I don't favor that. There's so much in here that it should be broken down. I mean, you can end up keep putting more and more things in here, and it's like a pork bill. And I just get troubled by these. The severance tax, that should come out of forestry committee, and are you in favor of that? So I just really struggle with these. There's so much here. Some things good, some things maybe my constituents don't agree with, some do. I don't know. We didn't go to referendums, so I didn't ask them. In terms of what 1,500 voters think. So my understanding is this is advisory nature, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that right now, the counties and the towns can't say no or make any kinds of changes. It's at the state level. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct. But I do believe the state is looking for our comment, and I do know that Langley County is working on a similar resolution, and I had a conversation with the sheriff from Forest County a few days ago, and she wants to look at this because Forest County can't even afford to pay social workers. They got over 80% of their land already in government entity, and now there's like 653 more acres going to be taken from Forest County for future development. So they're looking at it. The other counties are looking at this. Steven, so let's stick with the amendment.
Yeah, again, I think this part of it about the objections or approval from the county or the town, it already exists. Unfortunately, that's what's being addressed in the first couple of paragraphs is the DNR dropping the ball on this, right? They reach out, they were supposed to, and apparently did, but then either failed or miscommunicated or whatever it is, the excuses, I don't know, but something happened. That's where the process exists about approval or not approving. You know, you're not gonna add anything to anything by putting this down here because it's already there. The DNR has a responsibility and had it and reached out and should have delivered those messages to the Natural Resource Board when these things were being considered, and apparently that didn't happen. If anything, they gave one or two nods from someone saying they approved of it, but the rest didn't. I don't know what happened. I still don't know if they've gotten to the bottom of it, but that all being said, that it already exists. And I don't think they're gonna do anything with that unless you stress what you're stressing further on. Which is, do your job, DNR. You were supposed to do these are requirements built into the Knowles Nelson funding. Do your job. We don't need that extra statement down there. Because again, I feel like we're putting words into the mouths of folks who are voicing an entirely different opinion to us today about public lands. And
Stephen, can I get a comment so you don't keep going on this?
go ahead.
Okay, the Secretary of DNR, Adam Payne, called me yesterday. He guaranteed me that there will be a better process moving forward. That the DNR will be sitting down and discussing with affected towns and affected counties. There will be an extension from the 30 days to 60 to 90 days. These are things, we talked about the Pelican River Forest and how that's going to improve communication because we have not had any communication. We have not sat down with anybody. They want to get, the Secretary of DNR wants to get all three counties together, the affected towns, the owner, and have a discussion. But we certainly are looking at, we passed something that says we want to be a player in this game. So by eliminating, I think it's all right by eliminating the way your amendment is presented. I think it's all right that way because the DNR is going to work in the future with us.
Okay.
Mike Roach.
One of the things I was looking at is line 27 through 29 and how it relates to his amendment. Steven's talking about this tax to get it back to where it was to help Monaco and small communities. It's a great idea, but maybe I could read that and say, hey, that's covered right there, Stephen, in 27. Oneida County needs to answer the questions on how the easement will affect the future tax base. So I could argue that that's already in there. We don't need to talk the severance tax down in 50-51. I also agree with Supervisor Schreier saying it's already in there. So my argument would be, I don't see problem leaving 50, 51, 52 in. I think the severance tax is a good idea. Like Linnea said, I think it's already covered. I think like Rob's saying, Supervisor here, this is just us telling the legislature how we feel about this government-owned land. And it's time we take a vote on that. That's what I would say. I'm against having them own more land. But that's what I want to say about his amendment. I almost think that you could say it's in 27 through 29.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I liked Stephen's amendment on severance taxes being installed, reenacted or restored. Could that be separate from line 50 as a line 52 or something like that, instead of leaving line 50 in there?
So you'd have to vote no on the amendment and then Stephen would have to come back and add his portion back in. We have the amendment on the floor. Yeah.
These are advisory
resolutions. They're non-binding. This is the way we have to communicate to Madison saying, get with it. Or a resolution saying, we're happy with what you're doing, we love it. Keep on screwing up. I look at this, as nothing more than advisory, it isn't stopping a future purchase of this land. Obviously, there's already been conversation had with our chairman on sitting down and discussing it, but there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with sending this in. It just said to the legislators, we don't like the way this was handled to begin with, and I think I was the one who asked that this committee be put together 3 months.
Yes.
And you guys have said it clear, you're probably mad at me. But I don't have any objection with your amendment, Stephen, but I'd leave 51, I'd leave those other lines in there. And let's just send it to Madison, let them know what we think. And then they'll have this meeting with all the counties and the towns involved and the decisions will be made.
Stephen,
Well, then I guess I'm gonna trust my fellow supervisors and actually ask them to vote this down. As long as I know that they'll support putting the language I suggested in as a separate piece.
you
to add.
can't bargain on it.
I'm just saying, I'm gonna encourage something that somehow requires a great deal of trust. And I
Well-
do trust my supervisors, thank you.
And the other point is, as Ted said, this is our way of communicating. Without that portion in it, I don't think they're going to get the point, because I didn't get the point before he added that addition in. So if we want to communicate with them, let's be clear.
All right, we're gonna call on the amendment. We're gonna call a roll.
Newman,
No.
Almakinder.
No.
Cushing,
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yes.
No.
We get a clarification, Tracy, what was.
Yeah.
They're
So-
voting on the amendment, which means eliminate line 50 through 52 and add the extra one.
That's
So
okay.
it's eliminating, and they're voting no on the elimination basis.
Talking about severance tax, right? That's what you said. Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Kelly,
No.
Fisher,
No.
Condado. No. Harris. No. Sorrel,
Nay.
Schultz,
No.
Roach,
No.
Schreier,
No.
Rio,
No.
Timmons,
No.
Bryden,
No.
Briggs,
No.
Reed,
No.
Winkler,
No.
Ottinger,
No.
Kowinski.
No.
20 no, 1 absent.
20 no, 1 absent. The amendment fails. Stephen.
Okay, I'm gonna try and do this right. I would like to make a motion to amend and to add language after line 52. You want me to restate? Yes, it all, all right. So be it further resolved that the severance taxes on timber sales from managed forest lands eliminated in a previous budget be restored to provide the infrastructure needed for harvesting and managing these important lands for our forest industry. And ... Whatever.
Is that all MFL lands or lands just
For this one.
for easement?
It'd be all
I
MFL.
believe it was the all.
We'd have to look up the history of that. Hey, there was a motion. Was there a second?
Second.
And we got a second over here. Any further discussion on the motion to amend? Purple call roll.
I'm gonna run out of here. Kelly. Winkler,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Timmons,
Aye.
Rio,
No.
Jensen,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Schreier,
Aye.
Condado. Aye. Sorrel,
Aye.
Newman,
No.
Roach,
Aye.
Ryden,
Aye.
Harris, Almakinder.
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Halowinski,
Aye.
18 ayes, 2 noes, 1 absent.
18 aye, 2 no, 1 absent, the amendment passes. Stephen, do you have any more?
Well, I promise that is there. This is a motion to amend, and I move to add at line 29. The following whereas statement, whereas the low property taxes paid on managed forest lands inadequately compensates local government for the infrastructure and services they provide.
Second. I don't think he's done.
Semicolon and.
You seconded that? He wasn't missing.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any further discussion on that?
Could I have that run again, please?
Yeah, and is it an addition to this?
That's
Yeah.
an addition,
Yeah, I'm not replacing anything, I'm adding that language.
a whereas statement.
Can you read it again, please?
I'll be happy to. It would say, whereas the low property taxes paid on managed forest lands inadequately compensates local government for the infrastructure and services they provide, semicolon and ...
Further discussion on the amendment.
We could amend the amendment, but I'm not gonna do it.
Don't.
I would just say, we could put in language there that said state mandated, unfunded mandated services. Towns have to provide.
You'd have to vote this one down.
No,
I agree with you, but.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Tony?
So I like what Stephen's saying, and I've been saying that for a long time. That, the state kind of hamstrings us with NFL and that sort. However, I'm looking at this whole thing and it just keeps getting more and more disjointed, in my opinion. I am 100% in support of what Stephen is saying. I just think that it should be a separate resolution. I'm actually seeing 3 resolutions, I think, here that should be, I believe, proposed and debated upon their own merit, not just all of them together. That's just me.
We have 21 people here. I don't think we can come up with a resolution everybody will agree to.
That's fair.
Any more on the amendment? Clerk will call the roll.
Wait, what are we voting for this time?
Whatever he's done. Stephen said it twice in a row.
Well, right, I understood, so we're accepting that addition.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm just checking.
Go ahead.
Briggs,
Aye.
Rio,
No.
Harris, Zorgo,
Aye.
Condado, Ryden,
Aye.
Almakinder,
Aye.
Timmons,
Aye.
Winkler,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Cushing,
aye.
Schreier,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Newman,
No.
Jensen,
Aye.
Halowinski,
Aye.
18 aye, 2 noes, 1 absent.
18 aye, 2 no, 1 absent. The amended resolution is amended. Is there any more amendments? Now let's work on the amended resolution. Any further discussion? Rob?
So if you support this resolution, what are you, are you saying the Pelican easement shouldn't happen? To me, it's kind of confusing in that, you know, when you look at 3031, object to the above proposed purchase of conservation and access easements as proposed. But yet, someone is saying process and then saying to them on, from 33 on down, can those things still be done? To the easement proposal.
I think what the majority of this resolution is saying is that we don't want our MFL land going into permanent easements. That we're willing to have it as MFL land, but we need it for our future tax base is what I believe this resolution said.
Thank you.
And we're in favor of ATV, UTV trails, we're in favor of snow, we're in favor of woods roads. We're in favor of all that stuff. We just don't want to give up. If you look up that map behind Mike Timmons and you see that big green area right in the middle. And that little can down in the left corner and green on the right, that's Monaco. The white area is taxable property for the future for Monaco. It's a big chunk of land to take out of somebody's township. So I think that's what we're voting on today, that we want all these things. We just don't want to give up our land permanently. We need it for future development, to pay taxes, for raises to the employees, for road maintenance, all of that. I think that's what we're trying to do here today. Stephen?
You want? to-
Oh, you want?
Yeah.
Jim?
I just want to make a statement about it. It seems like we hear people say that our constituents are saying they want an easement. They want clean water. They don't want mining. They want our wildlife. They want our trees. We can have all of that without having an easement, I believe, as you just stated. And it seems like people are trying to polarize this thing. Like if you vote against it, or if you vote for it, you're not for conservation. I'm for conservation. I'm just not for easements. Pure and simple.
Either.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that Supervisor Jensen brought up the line 30 and 31. Be it resolved that the county supervisors object to the above proposed purchase of conservation and access easements as proposed.
Right.
Those two words, as proposed, to me, they should be italicized, underlined, bolden, the whole works. If I could work them into every single one of these, I would do it, but I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Because I think listening and what we've already agreed to a man shows that there's room to negotiate on this piece of property and future properties. And we shouldn't say, oh, well, you know, all we're saying is we don't want this or we don't want that. I think this is more about what we do want. This proposal. We want the DNR to do what they're supposed to do. And maybe we wouldn't have had all of this to begin with, but that all being said, we want them to look at what are we getting for payments on MFL, severance, PILTs, the whole well, yes, not PILTs, that's state, right? But all that type of thing. We know what that structure looks like. I mean, it's as low as what, 60 some cents? And 82 cents. It's low. And then there's others who pay, you know, multiple dollars or more. It all depends on when you went into the program, et cetera, et cetera. But they need to revisit that and look at that and make it more equitable so that we're not struggling. Our townships aren't struggling to provide service. I chair the Public Safety Committee. Nobody knows better how hard it is to provide service. It's a struggle. It was hard to have to go to Lac du Flambeau and these other towns to arrange so that they can have reliable paramedic service. And you had to ask for more money. It was hard. Everybody was asked for that we contract with. Very difficult ask. And I know that a lot of those other towns that we proposed to that are not in Monroe County are in the same position that Monaco and the rest are in. They struggle. But we have to, if you're gonna send a message, we have to send a message that's clear about what we need. I mean, I look at the language coming out of Madison right now about what they're proposing in increasing funding. Very focused, from what I'm understanding, around public safety, ambulance service. They want to make sure that if they're gonna send money here, it gets directed where we're struggling the most to provide those mandated services. And I agree with that, but I also want them to recognize that we've always had that ability to pay for those things, you just kept taking it away. Don't act like somehow we're not responsible in how we provide service here. We are, I think we are. I mean, if anybody is irresponsible with tax dollars, it's probably Madison and beyond. You know, our heads are on the chopping block every 2 years. If they don't like the way we're doing it, they let us know. So I think that it's a struggle for me because I feel like I'm sending a mismatched message by supporting this. But at the same time, if I'm going to get behind it, I want it to be something that has some meaning. I don't want us to just say, well, it's advisory, let's just get a vote on it and pass it along. Make it mean something, you know, have some substance here. And I think I even made the statement at the Pelican Forest committee meeting that it would be nice to have a resolution come before the board that the majority can support because it has good merits to it, even if you're struggling with some of it. Even if you're struggling with it. I mean, we certainly owe the folks who came here today and emailed us, etc., that much in what we're gonna put together and vote on. Thanks.
Is there, Mike Roach?
Sorry, don't mean to prolong this, it is advisory, but having said that, I was on the committee for this, I missed the last meeting. And these 4 things down here from line 37 to 47 or 49, I guess, I'll ask Robert. I'm in favor of not allowing any more public lands in my county. I think we have enough. What if you took those lines out? I'm not saying I'm proposing that. I'm just saying that must have come in now, see, because now you're saying if I'm the owner instead of this Mr. Miller, this resolution saying we don't want the easement on this land, but we do want it for roads. So Mr. Roach, you own all this land. Oneida County wants you to put easements on it for 4-wheelers. Is that what it's really saying?
Well, the county would be in control, but yeah, that's what it's.
Because I'm wondering, if you took those out, does it change what I believe in? No, there's get rid of all those. I'm not proposing that, but that was added since the meeting I left. I wasn't at that one. Because to me, I'm against the easement of government lands. I just send the message, no more. We got enough state lands, we got enough government lands. And then this thing reads perfect. Because I think Rob is getting confused and I'm getting confused because of those last things that were added. I don't think it's advisory anyway, so I'm not suggesting remove it, but that may be some of the complexities that we're wondering. The landowner now, we're saying, hey, you gotta give us some roads in here for snowmobiles and 4-wheelers. Well, why are we doing that to anybody? Right, so.
Yeah, because the roads would be like 400 and some acres. And there is no ATV trails. And I'm not sure what acreage the snowmobile trail would be right.
But this isn't a bargaining chip,
No.
right? It's not like if they do that, then they get their easement over all the land? Okay, that's what I wanna make sure.
Like, I think what it comes down to is right now it's MFL land. The owner makes the decision if there's gonna be snowmobile trails or ATV trails or woods trails, the owner makes it. Now the DNR is gonna buy the easement, and now it's the grantor and the grantee are gonna do it. Now you got 2 people to please to get that trail in there. But then you don't know, based on our past experience with the DNR, are they gonna make the ATV trail so tight that the ATV clubs can't afford to put the trail in?
Exactly.
That's what's gonna happen. And it doesn't say that the ATV clubs will determine it. It says the grantor and the grantee will determine it. For a year, they had the phase one open. Is there any ATV, UTV trails on phase one? No. They didn't put them in yet. They didn't assign them yet. But for a year, they've been in phase one. So
So you're
this
saying now
message
the
is sending that we feel Oneida County can better manage than a DNR. We manage our county forest, 88,000 acres. This almost doubles our county forest. But we supply the ATV, UTV at the forestry department. We supply the woods road. There'd be no, the DNR is gonna have to put more people on to oversee all these easement agreements. They have to have meetings on sites. The county can do them at no
What
charge.
part am I missing, Chairman Holowinski, that, let's say I own something different than this, it's not the Pelican River Forest, I just own a chip pile of land. Are you gonna put in a resolution that I should get an easement from the DNR and the county should, I mean, why is that even in here, is what I'm asking, I don't.
The owner of the property right now is looking at selling the easement rights
For the whole land,
for the whole land.
yeah, so why talk about roads or snowmobile trails or anything? Why?
That keeps that land open for future development down the road, maybe 50 years, 100 years, 200 years. It doesn't lock it out from our tax base. But it also gives permanent access for the ATV, UTV clubs managed by the county that they exist.
Yeah, I don't like that part, okay, it's advisory, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Tony,
I will try my best to be brief. So I spent a bunch of years as a wordsmith and doing technical, like the words matter. So when I hear this talk about, well, it's advisory. Advisory still matters. You know, it's, you're still saying those words and what the resolution says matters. And as I look at this, I see at least 3 different resolutions, in my opinion, because we have multiple topics here that are all being lumped into one resolution. I don't want to make the process more difficult, but words matter. So I go back to different resolutions that can be debated on their own merit. I would be remiss and I would be very upset with myself if I voted for this after the outcry from every constituent that I have talked to. I have seen exactly 2 people who are for this type of resolution, and one of them was confused about it. And as it turns out, they were actually for these because they didn't want more development, that sort of thing. So I refuse to vote against my constituency on that. I've been asked to represent them, and I will vote as they have clearly said to me. I've talked to at least 100 people, and I really like this resolution came up because I moved and I've been able to meet all my neighbors and everybody around me because of it. With this, a lot of it seems to be we're upset with the DNR. And I think that the public, when we start talking about the DNR, needs to realize that there is a big difference between how the DNR deals with an individual person or an individual landowner versus a government entity. I've seen it all the time in our local town where, you know, the target moves from one day to the next when it comes to culvert sizes and how those things are done. If you want to stick your thumb in the DNR's eye and hold them accountable, man, I'm right there with you. Absolutely. But with this, I understand the desire for development, but at the same token, I don't. We are a tourist economy. We are a tourist region, whether we like it or not. We have a legacy of environmental protection and environmental stewardship in this region. And to say, well, we don't want to do that anymore. We want to focus on development. I still don't know what development we're talking about. You know, I'm in construction. I know how things get built. I've done commercial construction before. That land is not right for commercial development. Maybe some light residential development. Here or there. But if this goes through, I think we have a responsibility individually, not as a committee, because we're speaking as a committee or as a board to the government. But I think we have a responsibility individually, and I know I feel I have a responsibility to also answer and send messaging to our elected officials down south about what has really happened here and what we're really talking about. And I will do that. If this is passed, I will be the first one to spearhead to communicate the desires of my actual constituents that have talked about it. I know Mr. Moore is here from the newspaper, and the newspaper has talked about, you know, the 30, you know, usual suspects and all that, but you know, that may be. But the people who show up and speak are the ones who run our society. You don't get to sit and not say anything and then complain later. These people have taken time to show up because it's an issue that they're passionate about. And I, for one, believe that we should listen to them. That's all I've got is just that I think it's still a poorly written resolution, and I very much appreciate the committee for working on it, but I just think that it's too convoluted, it's too fragmented, and it does not reflect the actual consistency of the people we represent.
Any further discussion? Clerk will call for roll.
Yeah,
Jim,
Go ahead, Jim.
does this resolution have to pass today? Can we have it go back to the committee for another one more briefing to look at the, as I'm listening to colleagues around the table saying there's more than one thing here in this resolution, and maybe we should wordsmith it. I have to agree with you, Supervisor Real. Words are important, and to revise it. If I were going to, I would strike 37 through 50 out altogether. And then take that up as a future resolution.
Jim, you
As
can
an
make a motion
example.
to strike something, you can make a motion to send back to committee, what would you like?
Why am I trying?
I mean, we could sit here all day and nitpick through this resolution.
I know, that's what
I think it's important we forward a resolution on so that some of our thoughts, even though they might not be 100% right, or the number is off by a few or whatever. Because I think we need to set a resolution on the debate. That's my.
I agree with that
Tom.
I would make a motion that we send this back to committee for fine tuning and bring it back to the June county board.
I'll second.
There's no June county board.
There is.
July.
No July.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Send back to committee. Any further discussion? Mike Roach.
Yeah, because I sat on this committee, Jim Winkler, Supervisor Winkler, I agree with you, these should be taken out. I could have done that in a motion. I don't think it's harmful to leave this in there. My message is we're done. Unlike Tony, I respect Tony, Supervisor, I respect the people in here. But I don't do necessarily what my constituents want. I ran in the paper. It's funny. But when I ran for election, I told you exactly who I am. I represent Jesus Christ. I run on a conservative ticket. And these people that come here, there's 50 people here. And there's how many people? 30,000 people live in Oneida County, 38,000. This is 0.0. These are the people maybe that aren't working that keep showing up. So I disagree with that. I think that if we prolong this, Mr. Kelly, it's just gonna be more people coming from Arizona and different states. We need to get this thing passed, yes or no. We're sending the message that we don't want this happening. It's a message to Madison.
Okay. Further discussion. Clerk, we follow.
Winkler, wait.
Wait, are we voting on
This is on a motion to refer back to committee.
Winkler, Winkler,
So, this is a vote to. I'll say aye.
Rio,
Aye.
Freed,
No.
Newman,
Aye.
Harris. No. Fisher,
No.
Jensen,
No.
Sorgel,
Aye.
Roach,
No.
Condado,
No.
Ottinger,
No.
Ryden,
No.
Almakinder,
No.
Kelly,
I,
Cushing,
No.
Briggs,
No.
Simmons,
No.
Schreier,
I,
Schultz,
no.
Kowinski,
No.
six I, 14 no, 1 absent.
6 ayes, 14 no, 1 absent, the motion fails. Back to the amended resolution. Any further discussion? Stephen?
Just one thing, and this term keeps coming up over and over again about public land. This is not public land. This is private land. Please keep that at the forefront when you're making your decision on this. I think it's very important that you recognize that. The message you're sending doesn't concern public land. That could be a separate resolution altogether, to be perfectly honest, and probably should. I believe the Pelican River Forest easement gets mentioned once in this. You wouldn't even know that's what we were debating about, to be perfectly honest. You would think we were debating about public land. We're not. If you want to include it in there, that's fine, it's in there. You had the option to pull it out as it relates to this, but this is really should be about how does this impact our tax base? And what do we want to send message wise to the people who decide how things get funded up here? And I think what's been proposed makes it a better piece of property. It's rare you get someone who will say, oh, well, I'll set aside $1.5 million so you can maintain trails and roads. And we're gonna just open it up to hunting, fishing, which I believe it's not currently open to anything other than walk-in. So you don't drive in, you don't snowmobile ATV in, you're gonna gain all that. Supposedly, I mean, you would think people are in some doubt about it, but I looked at what was included with an email from an individual, and it was the easement language relative to phase 1. Well, for the better part of it, I think it's a pretty good deal for the residents of the county to be able to have that kind of access to that property. But you're also stating what you see are sticking points in this resolution, which is about maintaining things, because we know how that is. And I believe, you know, Mr. Emil Kiner has said it, you've said it as someone who works for DOT. Yeah, you can build something, but maintaining it over long term is an entirely different thing. You lay some blacktop down and you think you're good for 10, 20 years, maybe. This is Wisconsin, that's not probably very realistic, but it's rare you get something where someone says, we're going to invest in that property and help you maintain that. And I even support the idea that the county should have more say in that we should be able to control the maintenance and where it's laid out and things like that. And that means, of course, probably being more directly involved when it comes to this. And I'm hoping that the individuals, the private parties in this situation are willing to come to the table and discuss that. I think they've made some good faith efforts up to this point, at least it sounds that way. I'm not 100% privy to them, but I'd like to think that that's a possibility. And we need to be a little more open-minded about the whole project, I think, overall, just based on the support that we've heard for it. But if you close it down and you just say no more, enough's enough, what if there's some other proposal out there we're not even aware of? And what do we say? Just no? It's a no-go with us? That concerns me as a body, that we're not willing to always come to the table and discuss. I think that's our responsibility. That's what we get elected to do. So please keep that in mind, when we take the vote on this.
Any further discussion? Tommy?
Could we add in the resolution that we do support the Pelican River Forest as long as it does follow some of these, it follows these guidelines? Or follows the
We
resolution?
can make a motion to amend, but I think it really is saying that we're not in favor of the first proposal as presented up at the top. You know, where is it?
Yeah, it doesn't say first proposal, it just says in general, so that's one.
Any further discussion?
Just to clarify, this is still public land. It's public rights. When people can go on your land publicly, that's called public land. So there's fee title and there's easement that is that do this. So as long as public can go on your land, it's public lands. It's also privately owned, but it's got the rights of the public can walk on it, drive on it, whatever that easement's gonna say. It becomes, versus you giving me an easement where nobody else can go on it, that's not a public easement. This one is for the public to go on, is it not? Yeah, it is. It's a public easement. It's a property right, is what it is. And if we had everybody that was rich enough to buy all the lands, we would be out and everybody be clapping saying, oh, good, nobody else can build and come up here. That's what we're talking about, what our founders wanted. They didn't want people to own everything publicly, the government. That's what we're talking about. And I think they own enough. And we should bring them back, like Schreier's saying, bring them back every time. I'll say the same thing. I think we're at our max, but there's no right or wrong answer what that number is.
Debbie?
I wasn't planning to say anything, but you know what, 17 years ago, my family moved up here because we have four-wheelers, we love the beauty up here, we're from Texas. And we choose to live up here, we love it. But we were also able to afford to buy some land also when we came here, and that's what makes me, I want everybody to be able to afford to be able to come up here and build a house. I'm not for, I heard the word sprawling, you know, I don't like that word. But I am so thankful that we were able to move up here and buy some land and raise our children here. And we love the conservation. We love all of that. And we enjoy it and we plan to continue to enjoy it.
Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll on the amended, multi-amended.
Roach,
Aye.
Newman,
No.
Fisher,
Hey.
Simmons,
Aye.
Harris. No. Schultz,
Aye.
Rio,
No.
Kelly,
No.
Winkler,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Condado,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Schreier,
No.
Sorgel,
Nay.
Jensen,
Abstain.
Almakinder,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Bryden,
Aye.
Halowinski,
Aye.
Twelve ayes, 6 noes, 1 absent, 2 abstained.
12 aye, 6 no, 1 absent, 2 abstain. The resolution amended resolution passes. Okay, we'll go on to resolution 60, 2023. Ordinance amendment.
Can we take a break?
Yes.
Wait, because Alex has been waiting all day. They're pretty quick. Alex from the highway.
Yeah.
Can we do these two of them and take the break before closed session? Maybe something better. We can get, then we can get staff in for part of your stuff. Yeah.
I agree.
Let's just take a 5 minutes. They gotta clear off. Everybody, somebody gotta go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom.
That's what I love.
Okay, let's get back to the meeting. Go on to resolution 60, 2023. Ordinance amendment 2023 by Supervisor Jim Winkler, amending the general code of the Oneida County section 2.0, order of business to improve and innovate in its location and purpose. We need a second on that resolution.
I'll second you.
Second. Greg, out your second. Jim?
I would like to hold this agenda item until next month.
I think we have to make a motion to table that, but
Jim, if you want to make a motion.
Can I table it till next month? Yes, I'll make that as a motion.
It should be a motion, point of order, it should be a motion to postpone.
Postpone.
Table this and bring it back at the meeting.
Postpone to a certain time.
So, Jim.
To the June county board. Okay, we have, is there a second on the? I'll second. Mike Timmons, any further discussion? No, I asked. Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Donato. Aye. Sorgo.
I.
Roach. Almakinder.
Aye.
Newman. Winkler.
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Fisher.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Rio. Reed.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Timmons.
Aye.
Ottinger.
Aye.
Greg.
Aye.
Bryden.
Aye.
Schreier.
Aye.
Cushing.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
We have 18 ayes, 3 absent.
18 ayes, 2 absent, resolution 60 moves on to the June county board. There'll be a motion by Supervisor Cushing to suspend the rules relative to introducing resolution number 61, 2023, ordinance amendments. Number 7, 2023.
I'll make a motion to suspend
In
the
the rules.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. It wasn't signed by the cutoff date, and that's why we're doing this motion this time. Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Almakinder.
Aye.
Winkler.
Aye.
Cushing.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Bryden.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Schreier.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Timmons.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Sorgo.
Aye.
Newman. Ottinger.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Donato. Aye. Roach.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
19 ayes, 2 absent.
1992 absent, suspending rules for resolution number 61, 2023, ordinance amendment 07, 2023, offered by Supervisor Ted Cushing, the general code of Oneida County, section 7.095, altering utility vehicle trails and routes on county highways and bridges. I believe we need a second already on the resolution.
Mike Timmons, just a second.
Mike Timmons, second. Okay.
Now,
Yeah. Alex, none of us wanted to say this.
So, basically, we're just amending the ADU ordinance to add the Kemp Street from the bridge. Basically going west to the frontage road, so the ATVs can access the hotels, the restaurant, the gas station there. And that's kind of all it is.
We had public comment earlier.
Yeah, there was a public comment from the lady earlier.
For the committee.
The committee, that we just pick up a little bit and getting into the.
Yeah.
I do have one question.
Go ahead.
That's up to the Chamber of Commerce, but not across the Kemp Street Bridge, correct?
I believe it would go across the bridge. The city approved opening the bridge, the city owns the bridge. So that would open it all the way up, but probably going all the way into town.
Okay, so I'm assuming they've taken into consideration the risk of accident on the bridge. And I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the street right past it, that Boyd, yeah. Boyce. People turning off of Boyce Road have a hard time seeing small vehicles coming across the bridge. That's with that included, right? Now, that, okay,
So the city approved the bridge, we're approving the bridge down.
okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Zordo,
Aye.
Ryden,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Rio,
Aye.
Newman,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Roach,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Condado, Dryer,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Almakinder,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Harris, Greg,
Aye.
Winkler,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Malinsky,
Aye.
20 ayes, 1 absent.
20 ayes, one absent, resolution 61 passes. Item number 9, closed session. It is anticipated that a motion will be made, second and approved by roll call vote for entering into closed session. Pursuant to section 19.85, term 1, parent B, for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, and conducting other specific public business. Whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Topic, Buck Tussle bond issue. It is anticipated that the county board will return to open session by roll call vote to consider the remaining of the meeting agenda.
Move to go to closed session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Let's just go and start with Jim.
Yes. Aye.
Tony?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
I
Stephen? Aye.
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 We're in closed session.
I need a moment to get it off.
Yeah, down there.
Stay on. I'd like, if it's possible for Jeff to stay, Jason Rhodes and Mr. Sweeney here.
We're still, just so you know, we're still on your device. It was John Sweeney, I saw he was here.
He was here.
Was there? Did he leave? Awesome.
Talking with somebody.